Around 10 o'clock in the afternoon, the bell rang. Victor put aside his fork and, wondering who it was, went to open the door. He thought that maybe his wife had returned from a business trip. But no, she would be back only on Sunday night. When I opened the door, I saw a pretty girl. "How do you do? Are you Victor Sanchez?" "Yes, I am." "I have a registered letter for you." "And who ordered it?" "Well, they call them chain letters. You speeding or something?" "Something like that. I don't know. Sign for the receipt." Victor signed the receipt, saw the girl off, and returned to the kitchen, where he continued to look at the letter from the traffic department and leisurely looked through it. As it followed from the letter, a month ago, in violation of traffic rules, he had made a right turn from the second row. The location of the violation was also indicated. It turned out to be a turn into a motel parking lot on the outskirts of town. There were also pictures where you could distinguish the people sitting in the car. Victor fell into a stupor and sat silently for a minute, doing nothing, calming himself. After that, once again looking at the date of the violation, took his phone, entered the call history. Everything was correct. It was the second day of his wife's business trip a month ago, meaning she was out of town, and yet she was, and she hadn't arrived until 2 days later. Victor got dressed. An hour later, he was at the place where the traffic violation had been committed. He leisurely walked to the parking lot, and in the second row saw a car that was registered in his name. Victor stepped aside. His wife, Dolores, offered to buy the car, and Victor went to meet her needs, especially since their relationship had been cooling for the last 6 months. With this gift, he hoped to change that relationship. He never told Dolores that he had a license, but she didn't ask. She decided right away that the car belonged to her. On the days she went on her business trips, she parked the car in the company lot. She explained that she had an agreement with the management. That way the car would be in a safe place. When she came home on Sunday from her business trips, she would drive the car to her house. What did she drive from the train station to the office? And who authorized her to leave the premises on her day off? The man Dolores was meeting with, Victor knew. It was Rojo's general manager. Victor knew Rojo's wife, Angelica. Moreover, it was Dolores who introduced them, and he and Dolores had once gone to visit them. Rojo also came to visit, along with his wife. Rojo lived large, in a 4-room apartment. He and Angelica had no children, but Angelica's sister Samantha lived with them. Samantha's marriage failed, and she divorced her husband. She was sheltered by Angelica, who was enamored with her niece Monica. Rojo was dissatisfied with the poor relative, but with his wife did not argue. Thinking about what to do, Victor sat down on a bench. Suddenly, a man stopped in front of him and exclaimed joyfully, "Victor, you?" "Diego, a friend. What are you doing here?" "I work here. At this motel here." "What do you do?" "I own this motel." "You own it?" "A little bit." "Why are you so sad?" "I'm getting a divorce." "Is it serious?" "She tells me about her business trips, but she's at your hotel with her lover on weekends." "When did you find out?" "No, I just found out today. When I got the lucky letter from the police, she drove into the parking lot from the second lane. And now my car is in the second lane. So, what's it gonna be?" "Divorce." "Don't take it personally. Think it over." "Your car?" "It's mine." "Are you gonna leave it to her?" "No way." "And the apartment?" "Her apartment. When I started living with her, she already had it." "And the guy with her, is he married?" "Married. I know his wife too." "Talk to her, prepare the ground, and think about where you're gonna live." "I have a cottage. I've almost finished building it, just finishing up." "That's great. How many floors?" "2. "Won't the wife claim it?" "She doesn't know anything about it. I wanted to surprise her before the new year." "There's a garage." "Okay. Let's go. I'll take a look at your cottage." "Do you know anything about it?" "How do you think I built this motel?" "I'm building a bunch of guest houses." "So, what, you do it all yourself?" "Yeah, all by myself." "What do you do for a living?" "I'm the head of the economic department." "That's exactly the kind of person I need right now. Come on, let's go to my office." "I don't want to run into my wife." "My office is across the street." They went into the office, discussed everything quickly, and in half an hour, in Diego's car, they drove to Victor's cottage. After looking around the cottage, Diego said, "I see that everything has been thoughtfully done here. I'll have my technicians hook up the water heater. I'll send a crew on Monday to do the finishing in a few days. They'll have their own materials. They'll start the flooring together with the finishing. I see you've got the board ready. That's right, wooden floors are better. I'll throw my whole construction crew in here. Listen, I'm not gonna pay you back. You will. If you work for me, you'll pay me back in a year and a half. I'll give you an estimate for all the work. Where to now? Come on, take me to the new neighborhood. I'll talk to his wife. And here are the keys to the cottage. I'll quit my job on Monday, quietly. I have connections there. They won't refuse me." Victor rang the doorbell and Angelica opened it. She was happy and said, "Oh, and Rojo on a business trip called recently. I'm actually here to see you, Angelica." "For me? Come in. Come into the kitchen. We'll have tea." Victor went into the apartment, went into the kitchen, sat down at the table. Victor told her everything that was going on between Rojo and Dolores. She listened to him and said sadly, "He's had it before. He's a perpetual fling. And I decided a long time ago that I wouldn't forgive him if it happened again. Only problem is I've got nowhere to go, and my sister and the baby. They have nowhere to go either." Victor thought about it, then he suggested it. "I have a cottage being built. I can take you and your sister in. I have plenty of room for 1 or 2 floors. In a week or so, it will be ready to take us all in. But I think we'll surprise the cheaters. We can't change anything. But we can take everything they have. The company that Rojo runs is registered to me, and Rojo gets all the money, and he won't even hire my sister. Angelica, tomorrow we have another day to meet my friend Diego. He's an entrepreneur, and he'll give us some pointers." Victor called Diego, and the latter suggested meeting at a cafe that was convenient for everyone to get to on Sunday morning, before the unfaithful spouses returned home. And so they did. Along with Angelica, Samantha and her daughter Monica came to the meeting. By the time they arrived, Diego had already set up a table in a separate office. When he found out that Samantha and her daughter would also be at the meeting, he called the waiter and they were served. Diego didn't come alone, but with a woman named Milagros. She was a specialist in divorce cases. While waiting to order, they started a conversation. Milagros bluntly asked, "Let's not be modest, be specific about what you want. What could we possibly want? You may want just a divorce. You may want a divorce and maximum punishment for cheaters. You may want nothing. In the latter case, I'm packing up and leaving. I'm not a psychologist, and you need one to deal with your stress." "Okay, Angelica, you answer first." "I want a divorce and maximum punishment for my spouse." "Angelica, keep in mind, once we start this process, there's no going back. Something will just happen that can't be undone." "I understand that, and I agree with that." "That's fine. Victor, what do you want?" "I believe they've been having an affair for the last 6 months, and given all the disrespect my what I believe to be future ex-wife has shown me, the pain she has caused me with this, I want a divorce and her maximum punishment." Diego asked for the floor and was listened to. They have been meeting there, just like Victor said, for 6 months now. The payment for the guest house comes from the company that Rojo runs. In fact, the cabin is leased from that firm. That's right, and 6 months ago, my wife started having an intense business trip. At that time, they brought hot food and fruit. Monica, bored at the table, listening to the conversations, got off her chair, went around the table, climbed into Victor's lap, and ordered him, "Peel me a tangerine, because my mom won't let me." "What else doesn't your mom allow you to do?" "Chocolates." Samantha looked at her daughter in surprise and explained, "I was allergic to those treats as a child, and I'm afraid she has it too." "So, you don't know you're allergic, but you're already forbidding your daughter to eat it. Tell me, are you allergic to citrus and chocolate right now?" "No, but I've probably outgrown them." "Who told you when you were a kid that you were allergic?" "No one. My mom figured it out. And today you're repeating your mom's mistake, depriving your daughter of vitamins and delicious things." Saying all that, Victor peeled a tangerine, cut it into slices, and began to feed Monica. Diego said reproachfully. Victor. And after a tangerine, how is Monica going to eat a chop? She's fine. We can handle her. After eating a delicious breakfast, discussing everything and outlining a plan of action, they said their goodbyes. Angelica, Samantha, and Monica headed for the children's park. Milagros also ran off to do her own thing. Victor and Diego were left alone in the cafe. Victor, looking after the departing Milagros, said to Diego, "Such a beautiful woman. And smart, too. That's rare these days." Not so rare. I, for one, liked Angelica very much, and the way she carries herself. If it works out as planned, she'll be the head of the firm. She's already the head of the firm, but she doesn't realize it yet. I don't know about you, but I like her. And Milagros? What about Milagros? She's my cousin, she's a lawyer, and she's contracted to do a little work for my firm. And she's married. Listen, I see everyone in this cafe knows you. How's that? It's the cafe I started. And I own it too. How does your wife feel about it? I'm divorced. It's been 3 years. It's been a long time since we've seen each other. About 6 years. Why divorced? It's a long story, but we're in no hurry anyway. It went like this. It was a long time ago. I was a young man then, and I came up with the idea of creating a chain of motels and fast food outlets at gas stations. I drew up a business plan, picked up the territory. Well, this is my current motel, but then there was a swamp, a field, and a forest. I borrowed money, got the blessing of all interested parties, and started construction. Before that, I opened this cafe, and then a few other fast food outlets, and the business went on. My wife, who was a civil engineer by education, I put her in charge of the construction of the motel. And everything seemed to be going well there. That's what she said. I just didn't have time to keep track of it all. You understand what it means to organize food at several points. There's buying the food, there's organizing the delivery, there's the catering staff. What am I explaining to you? You're an economist, and you know the composition of the work of organizing food. Yes, I think it's even in economics textbooks. Exactly. Anyway, it was a lot of work. 6 months later, I stopped by the site myself, and it was a mess. The foreman informed me that my wife and their general director had become a couple. That's when I turned to my sister, and I learned from the foreman that he did not sign the acts of completed work, because all this is a fiction. And the amount of work actually performed is very much exaggerated. And then my wife announced that the object needs materials, and in order to push them from the factory faster, we need to go there. It's going to be 10 days. And my little sister, by this time, had gotten pictures of their dates and even a video. It's all illegal. Then what's it for? She explained to me that it was just a psychological hit. So I can't hire a private investigator to follow a wife suspected of infidelity. Why can you? Which in reality, of course you can. However, strictly by the letter and spirit of the law, private investigators are not authorized to conduct surveillance, especially since it is impossible to use the results of surveillance legally, for example, in court in a civil case. What did you need it for? I made photocopies of these materials and hid them at home. My wife started packing for a business trip in advance and packed a small suitcase. At home, at that time, I already had the same suitcase, in which I loaded old unnecessary things. On top of it, I put one set of photos. They were really going to Turkey for 7 days, and if they had been checked at customs at the airport, then they would have gotten back quickly, but they were lucky they flew to Turkey, to a 5-star hotel. And in the meantime, according to my statement, there were revealed additions in the work performed, overestimation of volumes, recorded non-fulfillment of contractual obligations. Milagros launched an entry into her connections. In a week, the contractor's firm was bankrupt. I bought their property for next to nothing until the Federal Tax Service took it away. And what, they were sitting in Turkey and didn't know anything. Well, what could they do? I blocked my wife's cell phone as soon as they got to Turkey. The bank cards I gave her had cents on them. As she later told a friend, after checking into the hotel, her Romeo ran to the shower. She decided to hang her things in the closet and opened her suitcase. What she found there shocked her. She realized everything at once. She threw the suitcase, took the documents, and an hour later she was at the airport, and a day later she was at home, but I was not there. Romeo arrived at the end of the vacation. His apartment was sealed. The company's chief accountant was detained. It has already turned out that on some object they had spent a very decent amount of budget money. As a result, he went to a place not so remote for 8 years. And the wife, my wife, and I divorced. She was in a trance, tried to reconcile, but on Milagros' advice, I avoided seeing her. All contact was through Milagros. Where is she now? I don't know, but I think she left town. At least I never saw her again. But according to Milagros, who saw her in court, she was completely devastated. Her friend said she sold the apartment and moved back in with her mother. Where do you live? At first I was hobbling around in apartments, but now I have a cottage in a new neighborhood. Bathhouse with a pool. I think we'll have a steam bath there. Now we won't get lost. Dolores dozed on the bed in the guest house. The vacation was coming to an end. Rojo was taking a shower. Dolores had a good life. She has a marvelous husband, a wonderful lover, but he is far from a husband. But Dolores was happy with him for now. In general, the connection with Rojo Dolores did not consider as durable, although they met for 6 months. Everything suited her. Rojo, being the general director, by tacit agreement, did not promote her in order not to attract attention, did not show her off as an indispensable employee, did not bring her closer to himself, but paid her with various bonuses and additional payments for the fulfillment of some incomprehensible, especially important tasks. In fact, she had almost 3 salaries in the form of additional payments. In addition to this, there were regular offerings in envelopes. She never told her husband about her salary. She knew that he had money. So she asked him for a present, a car. She kept the car right after the purchase, without even asking her husband's opinion. Now lying in bed, she decided that it was time to establish some contacts with her husband. She had been distant from her husband lately, blaming it on work. She talked to Rojo, and he agreed with her. They agreed that they would have another 3-day meeting at the motel the following weekend. She would be seconded for her husband on Thursday to a neighboring town to promote the company's products and attend a product show. As for Rojo, he never reported to his wife where he was going or why. He said, "I'd be gone for 3 days," and for exactly 3 days, he was not at home. Dolores thought that it was probably a mistake to introduce Victor to Rojo and his wife, and frankly speaking, she didn't like Angelica, Rojo's wife. The first time she saw her, Dolores was terribly jealous of Rojo. She was a very beautiful woman. And thinking about her, Dolores did not understand why Rojo walks away from her. To match Angelica was her sister, Samantha. Samantha was not very fond of Rojo. At the mention of her, he said no other words than poor, poor Samantha. But Samantha, meanwhile, was very beautiful, and having a pretty daughter only gave her some elusive charm. Rojo got out of the shower, began to dress, and asked, "Dolores, are you going to shower?" "Yes, of course I am." She got up and disappeared into the bathroom. In the meantime, Rojo went down to the first floor and set the table with the remaining food they had bought for 3 days, so as not to show up at the cafe motel. There was little chance of meeting anyone they knew here, though. After getting out of the shower, Dolores dressed quickly, went down to the first floor, and sat down at the table. Rojo inquired, "Will you give me a ride?" "Sure." Dolores walked into the apartment. Victor wasn't there, but it was obvious that he hadn't spent the night at home. The dishes in the kitchen were clean and in their proper places. She didn't look for him. She knew that he would show up soon. After thinking about it, she decided to prepare dinner. Victor arrived in the evening, about 7 o'clock. When he came in, Dolores smelled the odor of alcohol coming from him. She asked, "Have you been drinking somewhere?" "Yes, I met with a contractor, talked about the work plan, then we drank some dry wine. A bottle for 2 and 100 grams of cognac. I take it you won't be eating dinner." I had a bite. "Listen, you smell like alcohol. I don't want to hear your breath in the bedroom." "Dolores, I'll sleep in the hall on the guest couch, and then I'll take a shower before work in the morning. So I'll come to work. I'll be fresh as a whistle. How's your business trip going?" "I think it's all sorted out, although they're having a trade show next week, and they invited us." "Do you want to go?" "Me? I've never been to one of these things." It's a normal exhibition. Our products will be shown there, and contracts will be signed with those who want them. So even the CEO goes there. No, the general director gives contracts signed by him, and that's it. And how long will this event take? It starts on Thursday and ends on Saturday afternoon. So you're leaving on Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday night, but that's the last event. There won't be anything like that for a long time. I'm not going, I've got enough work to do. It'll pay for you, and I'll have to take days at my own expense. I'd rather do something this weekend or just lie in bed all weekend, like today. I had a meeting with a contractor today. So you're sure you're not going to have dinner? Yeah, I'm going to watch the news and go to bed early. Victor turned on the TV in the hall and watched the news. Meanwhile, Dolores prepared dinner, ate, and went to the bedroom. There she opened the closet and began to go through her closet. She had been planning to do this for a long time. In her closet, on a whole bunch of updates, which she did not wear, but which were bought in order to buy them, and with great difficulty put everything in place. Peeked into her husband's closet. There were fewer things in there, and there was a lot of empty space. As a result, she decided that she would take up half of his closet with her things without any harm to him. Tired of sorting things out, she went into the kitchen, drank some water, and went to bed. My husband had already fallen asleep in the hall on the couch. However, he had been sleeping there for the last 3 months. Victor didn't sleep. While watching the news, he mentally made a list of his things that he had to take away when moving from his wife, and estimated how many boxes would be needed. As he pondered, he suddenly realized that he had no furniture in his new home. First and foremost, a refrigerator is needed. And of course he needs a big normal TV, considering that he will have a small child living with him. And she needs a crib, and women need somewhere to sleep. Victor woke up as usual, quickly did a few physical exercises, and went to take a shower. He grabbed a snack, got dressed, and went to the exit. At that time, Dolores came out of the bedroom. She was traveling to work a little late. However, she could be late or leave work early. All this she motivated as irregular working hours. The Human Resources Department's attempt to make Dolores obey the internal labor regulations failed. The director ignored the memos coming from the HR department. Moreover, one day he summoned the employee responsible for human resources, reprimanded him, and threw all the reports into the trash. Victor arrived at work, ran into the office, where he wrote a statement, and then went straight to the director. Having found out what Victor came to him with, he tried to persuade him to stay. After an hour of conversation, the director realized that all his entreaties were useless and signed the application. It took another half an hour to hand over his affairs to his deputy, who became the head of the department. From work, Victor went to the cottage being repaired. A team of builders, brought by Diego himself, was already working there. Diego, seeing his friend, was pleased and asked, "How are you doing?" "Fine, I did everything I had planned. I quit my job. Tomorrow I'll go to work with you. It's good to see you awake, and I'll see you at the office tomorrow. You're probably gonna need a car and some men to move your stuff." "Yeah, I'll need a car, but I don't have a lot of stuff. I can move it myself. Besides, I'm planning on picking up some furniture on Friday. But the store has delivery and assembly. What about spoons and forks and kitchen utensils? And most importantly, shot glasses and tumblers? I haven't thought about that yet. When you get off work tomorrow, we'll go to the warehouse. I'll sell you some nice dishes. Where do you get it?" "Well, actually, I have a chain of cafes, not just one. And there are kitchen utensils, and I have to have a stock of those utensils. I mean, they break down, they get lost, and people need to be fed. One more question, will you invite me to the housewarming party?" "Of course. It's a deal. Since you'll have a heavy workload that day, I'll set the table. Or rather, my cooks will. And they'll bring you a small stock of food. The banquet is my gift to you. And then you will cook on your own." Having seen how the workers began to work, having discussed with the foreman the sequence of actions, Victor was going to visit furniture stores, to which Diego told him, "Don't be stupid, come with me." "Where to?" "To a furniture manufacturer. He makes everything." They got into Diego's car, and an hour later they were at the furniture manufacturer. They went to see the director. When he saw Diego, he got up from his desk, hugged Diego, and said, "How glad I am to see you. The best customer of my enterprise. Are you opening a motel again?" "No. The motel is still being planned, but I need to furnish a 2-story cottage within 10 days. I have everything in stock. But Diego, you know my designers will look at the cottage and suggest what's needed. And how long will that take? Today they'll look at it. Tomorrow afternoon they'll show you the sketches and coordinate with you. Within 3 days, bring and assemble. Believe me, it will be much cheaper than if you buy it all through the store." And so it was done. Diego picked up the girls' designers and took them to the cottage. Victor stayed with them there. They measured everything and said, "Nothing complicated, as all the furniture can be offered from our warehouse, and even in coloring it will look great." So Monday flew by. At the usual time, Victor returned home. Dolores was still out, as usual. He cooked dinner and ate it himself, so as not to change anything in his routine. In the meantime, he did a light revision of the bedding. Dolores had bought it in advance, and as a result, they had 20 sets of new linens. Toward 8 o'clock in the evening, Dolores came in. Victor, at that time, was sitting on his guest sofa, watching TV and drinking beer. Dolores, as usual, complained that she was very tired at work. When she saw the beer in her husband's hands, she started to swear. "Victor, you'll smell like booze again." "Dolores, it's just beer. It smells even stronger than vodka. What can I do? I've had a drink." "Don't go in the bedroom. Did you make me dinner?" "It's on the stove and it's still warm." Dolores was angry that Victor had drunk the beer, and decided that for that she would not let him into the bedroom until Monday, and she didn't hesitate to let him know it. "Okay, Victor, for your second day of drinking, you will sleep on your couch until Monday. Until the alcohol is completely out of you, you have no business in the bedroom. You got it?" "Yeah, got it." And Victor thought to himself, "I haven't been in the bedroom for 3 months, and what's there to do there? At least there's a TV in the hall." On Tuesday, Victor got up at the usual time and left for his new job. Diego introduced him to the staff. Then they drove to the cottage together, saw what had been done there, and returned to the office. Victor was given a separate office, and the first visitor among them was Milagros. Milagros had spent yesterday fruitfully. For starters, she found out the history of the firm that Rojo ran. She learned that the company was founded by Angelica's father, who had invested a huge amount of money in the company. At the same time, he was able to fully pay off the debts and bring it into a profitable enterprise. The founder of the company was originally Angelica, who was not married at the time. When she married, Rojo was very disliked by Angelica's father. He did not allow him to manage the company, but after the sudden death of her father, Angelica appointed Rojo as general manager. At the same time, at Rojo's insistence, the apartment where her father lived was sold. Milagros also discovered that Rojo had set up his own company, and that the director was an alcoholic who did not know he was such an important person. Moreover, the company's registered office was in the alcoholic's apartment. Milagros used her connections and found out that significant sums of money had been transferred to this firm, and that Rojo was the one who transferred them. Milagros realized that this was money that Rojo had stolen from the company where he worked as general manager, from Angelica. In addition, Milagros had thoroughly investigated Victor's real estate holdings and concluded that his wife would get nothing in the divorce. The cottage that Victor had belonged to his parents. At that time, Victor lived in a one-room apartment in the city. He sold this apartment when he was getting ready to get married. His father had erected the second floor, completed all the work, and only interior finishing and flooring remained. He did not have time to finish what he had planned. At the same time, he had all the materials to complete the work. Victor would have completed everything, but he used part of his father's inherited money to buy the car that Dolores had so shamelessly started to use. The rest of the inheritance money Victor wanted to use to go on vacation with Dolores to the United Arab Emirates. At the same time, he did not want to touch his main account. After talking to Milagros, Victor called Angelica and inquired, "Angelica, tell me, are you going to need help moving your stuff? I just have no idea what it's all going to look like. Here's what we're going to do. Friday, I'll bring you empty boxes and duct tape. You and Samantha will pack everything up in 2 days, and we'll move it Saturday night. The builders have already promised to be done Friday night. Saturday morning, they'll bring in the furniture and put it together. That's how easy it is. I didn't realize you could just pick up cardboard boxes. Where'd you get the car? Diego's giving it to me. How are Samantha and Monica? No allergies? No, and Monica is happily eating oranges and chocolate right now. She's fine. That's great. By the way, Dolores and Rojo are going on a business trip tomorrow and will be back on Sunday. Yeah, Rojo told me he's going to the trade show. I wonder where he's working. He doesn't work. The chief engineer takes care of everything for him. Today, on Milagros' advice, I'm already thinking about who to put in charge of the firm. I also found out that Rojo is withdrawing money from the company's accounts, so I have an audit starting Thursday. That's right, it's your company's money. And Wednesday afternoon, I'm filing for divorce. Yeah, Milagros told me I'm filing for divorce too. I'll meet you at the courthouse. After lunch, Diego called Victor, and they went to see the sketches they had prepared. For some unknown reason, Victor was most interested in the room he had identified for Monica when he studied the sketches. Diego noticed this and recommended buying a beautiful doll for her. After the sketches were agreed upon, the prices for the selected furniture were announced. The total cost was surprisingly low. A contract was signed and Victor paid immediately by making a transfer from his bank card. In the evening, Victor returned home and everything went as usual. Dolores showed up as usual, and from the doorstep, she started complaining. Well, I knew it, they're sending me on another business trip. You told me about it. For how long? According to the revised data, the last day of the exhibition is Saturday, so I'll be back on Sunday afternoon. When do you have to be there? Tomorrow afternoon. We've already booked a hotel. What are you going to do? In the middle of the work week. I'll go to work. What else can I do? No offense. They said this is my last business trip. I'll have other projects now. What projects? The director didn't tell me, but he hinted that I'll get a good bonus for the work I've already done, and I think I'll be able to pay more attention to you. That's it. I'll have dinner, pack my things, and go to bed. I have a very hard day tomorrow, and I need to be in shape. In the morning, the usual hustle and bustle began. Victor left for work without waiting for Dolores to wake up. Dolores had been packed since the evening, so after a quick snack and without clearing the table, she grabbed her things and left the apartment. The car was new, started instantly, and soon she was driving up to her office. She felt great. She thought her life was a success. She was immediately summoned by Rojo, who handed her 2 envelopes of money and said, "In one envelope, your performance bonus, and in the second, money for our operating expenses. After 5 minutes, go to the store and buy what we'll be snacking on, and most importantly, what we'll be drinking these 4 days. What I like, you know." I got it. After 9 o'clock, Victor entered the courthouse, and there he met Angelica and Milagros. Milagros handed him the prepared papers and said, "Look at it carefully, reread it twice. Sign and get in line to see the judge who is in charge today. We'll go to the judge together. Angelica will follow after you." "Well, I'm a gentleman. I can let Angelica go first." "No, she and I go from here to the tax office, then to the bank. Then we meet with the accounting firm. We need everything Rojo can do stopped by lunchtime." "Won't he get a call?" "Only the chief accountant can do that, but she won't. You can be sure of that. She will be fired and her credentials will be terminated." The meeting with the judge went surprisingly calm and smooth. The judge, an older man, listened carefully to Victor. Then, when Milagros began to speak, said, "Milagros, this is not a trial. I know that you work very carefully in the statement of claim. Everything is clearly stated with reference to the law. The fee has been paid, and I see no reason not to accept the application. And we will hear all the arguments and evidence in the process." In 5 minutes, Victor had the statement of claim with the mark of the court office. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon, from the office window, Victor watched his car with Dolores and Rojo pull into the hotel parking lot. They opened the trunk and pulled out several bulky bags. Diego made sure that they parked the car not where they usually did, but a little away from the guest house they were renting. In his conversation with Victor, Diego said that Milagros wanted to install video cameras in the guest house But he disagreed. He explained, "If the story gets publicized, we'll just lose customers and our image will be damaged. But photos taken by someone in the parking lot as they enter the guest house will not damage the image. Moreover, the court can demand the records from mobile cameras, which are perfectly legal to hang in the parking lot and monitor the area where the guest houses are located. Then I will simply be obliged to fulfill the requirements of the court, and the cameras are hung to ensure the safety of customers." At the same time that Rojo and Dolores showed up at the motel, Angelica entered the office they had left behind, along with Milagros and the audit team. Angelica entered the office of Beatriz, the chief accountant, and said to her, "I'm inviting you to a meeting. Follow me." The same was ordered to the chief engineer. In the CEO's office, Angelica notified them. "I want to inform you that the chief accountant is suspended. Her signature at the bank has been revoked. You, Carlos, are being promoted to CEO. I want you to find a capable chief engineer to take your place. From now on, Rojo is to have no information about the company or what's going on here." "Why am I suspended?" "Because of Beatrice's mistrust. But I did everything Rojo told me to do." "Yes, you have, but as chief accountant, you have to follow the law. And the law requires you to follow certain prohibitions. Thus, it is not allowed to take into account documents that are registered for facts that did not take place in economic activity, including those underlying sham and sham transactions. Do you understand what I'm telling you?" "Yes, I do. You're talking about the money transfers to the shell company. So you knew it was a shell company. What could I do?" "I was obliged to follow the instructions and orders of the head of the organization." Milagros stepped in. "No, you weren't. You should have gotten a written order from the director, but even that won't get you out of criminal penalties as a chief accountant. The smart thing to do would have been to quit. You knowingly included false information in the tax return, and that's a major felony. So now you find yourself in a group of persons acting by prior conspiracy, which qualifies as a part of the article of the criminal code. What else could I do? You could have gone to the founder. But the founder is Angelica, Rojo's wife. I thought she knew. I didn't get anything from these deals. I'm ready to tell you something you don't know." "About what?" "About his mistress. Another organization that Rojo calls a lifeline. Sit down and write. In whose name? Angelica. An audit has begun at the company. The employees, seeing what's going on, are worried. The heads of the departments were invited, and they were told that there was a change of manager, that the staff schedule would be revised, as there were reserves to increase the salaries of the employees. In the evening, Angelica and Samantha started packing. Monica ran between them through the rooms like a small meteor. They stacked everything neatly in the cardboard boxes they had brought. Angelica said, "I don't think he needs the kitchen utensils either, a couple plates from an old set, a glass or two. His beer mug, a few old pots and pans. I'll leave him the refrigerator too, since that model is now obsolete." Samantha asked, "Angelica, do you believe you're doing the right thing? That it's really necessary? When you left your husband, did you believe you were doing the right thing?" "Yes, I did. And I do, and I'll never forgive him. Why don't you tell me you have a crush on Victor?" "Oh, Angelica, I have a daughter. I have to think about her, and that she needs a father. Only someone who loves her will be her father. But you're losing your place. Samantha, I have a firm, and she has money that I didn't know I had. I could buy an apartment, but I've decided, on Diego's advice, that I'll build a house. I'll buy an apartment for you and that meteorite that runs around the rooms." Friday night, Victor and Diego saw the work of the builders. Everything was immaculate, but the house looked empty. On Saturday morning, the furniture they had bought was brought in and installed. Victor's belongings were moved in, and then Angelica and Samantha's. Victor gave Samantha and Angelica the second floor. There was a separate toilet, shower stall. Everyone had separate bedrooms. Even little Monica had her own room. Victor himself was on the first floor. He had a luxurious bedroom, which was adjoined by a room, which he equipped as a small office and a bathroom, which could be entered directly from the bedroom. There was a lounge where a large television was installed, much to Monica's delight. A large modern kitchen, a separate toilet. A little later, Victor picked up from the motel parking lot his car that Dolores had come to rest in, and it went unnoticed by her. Victor put the car in the garage outside his cottage. Angelica and Samantha were getting settled in the house. Monica was tirelessly running through the rooms from the first floor to the second. She liked everything and especially her room. In the evening, Diego and Milagros and her husband arrived. A beautiful table was set, helped by the staff from Diego's cafe. The evening dragged on and they left late. Diego called the duty car from the motel and the guests left. Victor carried Monica to her crib, whom he watched sleep. Everyone slept late on Sunday. Victor took his time because he had the day off and a busy day was expected. Samantha and Angelica, even though it was the first night in a new place, slept perfectly soundly. They were having good dreams. Monica was the first to wake up. She assessed where she was. She wanted to call her mom, but decided to be independent. So she got up, went to the toilet, washed her hands, and went to the kitchen. No one had set the table. She went to the refrigerator. Yesterday, she saw that there were some chocolates in there. She opened it, took a chocolate bar and a tangerine. She opened the chocolate bar and ate it. Then, appreciating the tangerine, she went to Victor's room. Victor opened his eyes. Monica stood in front of him covered in chocolate. She handed him the tangerine and asked, "Peel it, please. Mom is still asleep. She will swear and won't peel it. And I'm hungry. So, let's keep the tangerine. Let's go make breakfast, eat, and leave the tangerine for dessert. And we won't make any noise. Let Mommy and Aunt Angelica sleep. What are we going to make? Pancakes, and then we'll eat them with sour cream and jam. What's better? That's up to you. You'll taste both." Victor washed Monica's chocolate off and told her, "We won't tell Mom about this." Victor quickly prepared the dough. The right consistency was reached, and soon the first pancakes were on the table. In the process of preparing the dough and baking the fritters, Monica took an active part. After making a dozen pancakes, Victor sat Monica at the table and placed 2 wide cups and a plate with hot pancakes in front of her. There was sour cream in 1 cup and strawberry jam in the other. Samantha woke up, looked at the time, and grimaced. "How's the daughter doing?" "Oh, I shouldn't have had so much champagne last night." She quickly jumped up, left the room, and went into Monica's room. It was empty. She went downstairs. There was some noise in the kitchen, and it smelled good. She quietly opened the kitchen door and saw Monica sitting at the table, smeared with sour cream and eating pancakes. Victor stood at the stove. Monica saw her mother and greeted her cheerfully. "Mom, come to us. Look how many delicious things we've made." "Good morning, Victor." "Good morning, my daughter. Did you make the good stuff too, or did you just stir it?" "Good morning, Samantha." Monica's telling the truth here. These pancakes are the result of our collective efforts. Where's Angelica? Is she asleep? Yeah, she's still sleeping, but I'm awake. It's so embarrassing. 2 women in the house and a man makes breakfast. It's okay, you'll have time to cook. Now quickly wash up and get to the table. At 12 o'clock, Diego and Milagros and her husband will be here, as we agreed. Besides, you and I need to finish packing. At that time, Rojo and Dolores woke up in the motel guest house. Rojo kissed Dolores on the cheek and asked, "How did you sleep?" "I didn't. How can you sleep with you?" "Don't be offended. We decided we wouldn't see each other for a while." "Who told you I was offended?" "Everything was fine. But as of today, my husband owns me. I gotta get him into the bedroom somehow." "Does he sleep on the mat by the door?" "No, in the hall, on the guest couch. I don't have a place like yours." "A woman like that in the house and he ignores her. Or are you ignoring him?" "It's understandable. You have a more attractive man." "Rojo, I wouldn't be so sure if I were you. Victor is very good in the bedroom, and in some ways he's better than you." "In what way?" "He loves me, and he's very gentle with me." "So why are you with me?" "Because I wanted to, and at some point I liked it. In fact, I found it fun and exciting. Unfortunately, now our meetings have lost their former novelty and unpredictability, have become routine and ordinary, as if you and I have spent many years together and bored each other. But the same thing happens in family life." "Yes, it happens in family life, where everyday life kills love. But if a couple has love, they are not afraid of any everyday life. They solve all the problems together and do everyday life together. Is it like that with Victor? It was until I got involved with you. What's going to happen? I don't know. What I do know is I don't want to lose my husband. You know, we're on the same page on that. I don't want to lose my wife, even though she has a tail, like her sister and her kid. But I put up with them. For now. Dolores began to pack up her house. She put away her things that were scattered all over the guest house. Put them in bags, said to Rojo, who had gotten out of the shower. I'll have to stop by the mall and buy my husband a gift for my business trip, and maybe even a bottle of cognac for tonight. Better get some whiskey and a tie or a shirt. You too, buy your sweetheart something. What is it? Let's go to the mall and I'll pick it out for you. They packed up and left the guest house. The security guard watching the area immediately dialed Diego and said, Diego. They left the guest house with their belongings and headed for the parking lot. Anyway, it's about to get showy here. Where's my car? Rojo and Dolores walked over to where the car was supposed to be parked and didn't find it. Noticing the parking lot security officer, Dolores approached him and asked, I parked my car here, and it's not here now. You know how much it's worth. Are you sure you left it here? Yeah, I'm sure. Don't worry, we've never had a theft. Let's go to our parking control center and take a look. Although Dolores didn't like it, she had no choice. They went to a detached house. There was a security office. There was possible to view not only the parking lot, but also the common areas of the guest houses in real time. And it was also possible to view it all on tape. The guard who had brought Dolores in had a conversation with another employee in the room who asked where the car was. Dolores pointed. He began to fast forward through the videotape in reverse order. He began to watch the tape from Saturday and found the car parked in the indicated location. While watching the tape together, Dolores saw Victor walk up to the car and make a phone call somewhere. In all likelihood, he was not answered. He put the phone in his pocket, opened the car with his key, started it, and drove off. The guard asked, Well, should we call the police? No need to call the police. I just don't understand. I parked the car and you let another man drive it away. The car can be parked near the lodge or in the neighboring parking lot from where you leave according to the documents. But in this area, those who came to our cafe for a short time parked their cars. But you didn't have any spaces, so I couldn't get into that parking lot. You should have parked at the guest house. And I remembered, the man who left in your car asked me how long it had been parked there. And what did you tell him? Nothing. I'm not authorized to inform anyone. Dolores walked out of the guardhouse and approached Rojo, who was standing waiting. He asked, Did you find out anything? Yes, I did. My husband took the car. Husband. That's the end of it. I don't think so. I'm gonna call him now. You have a company phone. Yeah, why? Nothing. It doesn't work for me. Can't even call a cab. There's a cab stand over there, but I think we should call my husband before he makes a mess of things. But we need a phone. Mine's not working either. I think we're in trouble. I wonder who ratted us out. An employee came out of the guardhouse and Dolores asked him to let her make a call since her phone wasn't working. He grumbled, but gave her the phone. She dialed Victor's number and he answered. Speaking. Victor, it's me, Dolores. Why is there a stranger's phone? Is something wrong? I called you from the parking lot. You didn't answer. I understand you were busy at the guest house with Rojo. Why'd you call? I told you I got my car back. I think we should let Angelica know that Rojo's phone is dead. Victor, please don't do anything until you talk to me. I'm sorry to you. I'm so sorry. But I've only now realized how much I care about you and how much I love you. You have an ingenious way of showing me your love by tumbling around in the guest house for 4 days with Rojo. Weekdays and weekends, and you could spend the weekends with us. And Rojo's good with his wife, too. Victor, I think you have the right to ask me questions and get answers. I'll tell you anything you ask, but let's not ruin the Rojo family. Look, why should I worry about keeping his family safe when he destroyed my family to the ground? Victor, I understand that you're upset about what happened, and I think that by coming together, we can work through this crisis. I do love you, and I'm ready to make it up to you. You just need to find it in your heart to forgive me. Rojo, it's just a little affair to make our lives different. Wait for me, I'll be home soon. Dolores and Rojo got into a cab and drove home. Dolores was dropped off first, then Rojo went to his house. Dolores went up to her floor and rang the bell to her apartment. No one opened the door. She had to get her keys and opened the door. She went into the room. Victor was nowhere to be found. She went into the bedroom. On the bed was a pile of money, which she secretly from her husband kept in a stash in the linen closet. She opened that closet. Some of the sets of new linens were gone. Dolores sat on the bed and sobbed. After crying, she went to the kitchen, and there on the table was an envelope, which she opened and got a copy of the divorce petition. The grounds for divorce: adultery. She took the home phone and dialed Victor. After a while, he answered. Victor, it's me, Dolores. I'm home now, and I can see that you've left me. But we just need to talk and discuss what happened. I'm sure we can work it out. Dolores, there is no we. It's all in the past. We disappeared 6 months ago, maybe more, but I'm not interested. Now listen to what I've already done. I met with a lawyer. We've discussed a lot of things. I've learned a lot. The complaint's already in court. What you have here is a photocopy of what I filed in court. That means that within the next week, you'll be receiving the same statement of claim from the court with an invitation to appear. I haven't touched your savings. I haven't taken your belongings or anything that could be contested property. You and I have nothing to talk about. We've been saying everything for a long time. And for the last 6 months, we've been living not as a family, but as neighbors in a communal apartment. Victor, let's talk. I've always loved you, but seeing Rojo made me confused, and I couldn't resist his passion. I didn't know what was wrong, and I didn't know how to tell you because I didn't realize it. You're in a fixation again. Anyway, let me explain. I'm not interested in how long you've been dating. I don't care at all how close you've gotten. I've made a decision, and I don't see you in the rest of my life. Everything that will happen between us, only through my lawyer. Victor disconnected his cell phone. All further attempts to contact him, Dolores failed. Meanwhile, Rojo also returned home and discovered that his wife had left him. On the table was a copy of the court complaint, as well as the founder's decision to fire him. This was a tremendous blow to him. He tried to call from his cell phone, but it didn't work. Grabbing his home phone, he struggled to remember his wife's number. A woman answered. Speaking. Excuse me, I'd like to speak to Angelica. Who's bothering her? I'm her husband, Rojo. Nice to meet you. But Angelica is not available to you at this time. You can negotiate with her through me. I'm her lawyer in the divorce proceedings. My name is Milagros, but this isn't about divorce proceedings. Although there are a lot of questions there too. What exactly are you interested in? The company where I'm the director and she's the founder. That's where you were the director. There's an order left on your desk. In fact, come by the office tomorrow. I'll be there. We'll discuss everything. I'm back from a business trip today, and I want to talk to my wife. Who sent you to a motel on the outskirts of town? And what kind of work were you doing in Guest House 18 with a woman from your company? That's something I'll only tell Angelica. I don't think so. I'll see you at the office tomorrow. Goodbye. Rojo hung up the phone irritably, went into the kitchen, taking the papers with him. He studied them carefully. The phone rang. Rojo went to the hall where the phone stood and answered it. He thought it was Angelica calling, who had come to her senses and decided to have a word with him. But it was Dolores who reached him. Hello, Rojo. Can you talk? Yes, I can. What's up? Is Victor on a rampage or something? Victor left me and filed for divorce. I don't know what to do. My wife left me and left home, along with her little sister, and she knows all about the guest house we used to hang out in. What else does she say? Nothing. I've got the founder's decision to fire me. What about me? When you come to work tomorrow, you'll get a commendation. Will you come? Of course I am. I have a date with my wife's lawyer. Isn't her name Milagros by any chance? By chance, that's what it is. She's my husband's lawyer too, but I'll catch him tomorrow at his work. They start early. Do you think we have any chance? I don't know. I think I have a chance. I'll talk Victor into it. I can't tell how you're doing with Angelica, but she might forgive you, seeing as how her little sister lives. Morning. Victor woke up to the sound of bare feet stomping outside the door. The door creaked open, and Monica crept into his bedroom. She climbed onto his bed and demanded, "Move over. We're going to sleep here." "Who are we?" "Me and Maria Dahl. But you have your own room." "Maria doesn't, and you're going to get up now anyway to make me pancakes with condensed milk." "Why only you?" "Maria doesn't eat, she's a doll." "What about Mom and Angelica?" "Well, you have to feed them too. See how much work you have to do." Monica covered the doll, hugged her, and fell asleep. Victor looked at the clock, smiled, and decided, well, Monica is right in that it's time to get up. He didn't do any exercise. He was afraid that the noise would wake Monica, and went straight to water procedures. I went quietly into the kitchen, and that's when Samantha came downstairs and asked, "Victor, good morning. Have you seen Monica?" Good morning. "I have." "Where is she?" "Sleeping with a doll in my bedroom, waiting for pancakes. By the way, why don't you want to put her in daycare?" "I do. I go to work then." Angelica was against it. She said we had enough money, stay home with the baby. "Okay, I'll help. She has to go to kindergarten. I know a friend, I'll make a deal with her. She'll take Monica to her daycare center. You have to work." "Let me make my own pancakes and you get ready. Is Angelica going to work too?" "Not today. There's a meeting between our lawyer, her husband, and my wife. We decided it's too early for Angelica to have that kind of meeting." "Are you seeing your wife?" "I don't either. She doesn't know where I work. I changed my cell phone." Dolores woke up early. She took a shower, ate breakfast, nerves on edge, couldn't eat. Then she got dressed, put on her makeup. She looked at herself in the mirror and was pleased with herself. After a while, she walked into Victor's office with a sad face. She approached her husband's office and looked in. An unfamiliar man was sitting at the desk, leafing through papers. "Excuse me, is Victor here yet?" "It would be great if he were. What's your question? Can I handle it?" "No, I need to talk to him, and it's important. I'll tell you what, he quit his job, and he doesn't work here anymore. His cell phone is dead, and I'm in his place, and I'm confused, and no one can help me." "Why did he quit?" "I don't know. He was talking to the director about it. I think his wife had a fling, so he quit last Monday." "I'm sorry." A distraught Dolores left the office, so her husband knew she was going out with Rojo. Knew and kept quiet. And apparently, Rojo's wife was in cahoots with him. She confronted the approaching Rojo and asked, "Rojo, what are we going to do? They've prepared everything. They know everything about us." "Know what?" "How do they know?" "I don't know that." They went to the office and went up to the CEO's office. The secretary saw them and said, "You're expected in the conference room." They went into the conference room. Milagros was sitting there, she said. "Come in, but I think you have separate interests and separate questions. So I'll talk to one of you first. The other one will sit and keep quiet. Is that a deal?" I, like a gentleman, let the woman go first. "That's fine." "Dolores, I'm listening. I'd like to speak to Victor." "Alas, it's impossible. He doesn't want to see you or contact you." "Understand, Dolores, you've hurt him. You've hurt him very badly. You've killed his love for you. You humiliated him by binding him to another man." "Tell him I was a fool. A common fool. I knew I'd lose him when I started seeing Rojo. But Victor was never supposed to find out. I was wrong, and that was the last time we met. We realized that we were being unkind to our spouses, and we decided to end it all. Tell Victor that today I want to start over with him. A clean slate. I'm quitting here. There's a very good chance I'll find a decent job." "Well, there's no doubt you'll quit. All you have to do is go to personnel and pick up your employment history. There's no definite reason for the dismissal yet, though, absenteeism or involuntary resignation. You'll have to decide that within the hour." "How?" "Write a letter of resignation and leave. Or after an hour, if you do not write, you get a labor book with a note of dismissal for absenteeism. Let me tell you, your stay in the guest house during working hours is documented. Can I talk to Victor?" "I'll tell him what you asked for, and that's up to him. Tell me, did you get the statement of claim? Yes, I did. Do you understand everything? Yes, I understand everything, but could you clarify a few things for me? No, I represent Victor. You'll have to hire another lawyer to get qualified answers. The next person to talk to Milagros was Rojo. He went on the attack. What I'm interested in is, why was I fired? That's where you'll get the best answer from the IRS. You know, there's a dispute between internal affairs and the investigative committee. Beatrice, the chief accountant, is at home. She's on recognizance. But I'm free. It's at my request. After we've talked, the investigative committee will pick you up. They've already come and are waiting outside the door. I don't know what they'll do with you. The accounts of the companies you created have been seized. I can talk to my wife. I'll tell her of your wish, and I'll be sure to give you her decision. After receiving her employment history and finding out nothing about Victor, Dolores left the office. She suddenly felt hungry and decided to have a snack in a cafe. She sat down in a corner, made an order, and saw Beatrice, who was walking between the tables and collecting dirty dishes. Dolores was taken aback and said hello to her. Beatrice also answered and, recognizing Dolores, sat down at her table. Hello, Dragonfly. Where's your dragonfly? Who are you talking about? I don't mean your husband. I think he's fine. I mean your lover who ruined everything by cheating on you. You mean Rojo? Do you have other lovers? Beatrice, what happened? Well, after you left that day to go to the motel, my bank wouldn't take payment. While I was thinking, Angelica came in. Not alone, but with a team. An audit and the IRS. I've been suspended, and they asked for documents. When I heard the documents, I knew it was the end. So I told them everything Rojo had done. His shell companies, his unwarranted transfers, all of his frauds. It's probably best if we didn't say anything. Am I stupid? He made a lot of money from it, and he didn't share it with me. It would have come out during the audit, especially if they'd done it on purpose. I mean, they already knew where to look. So what's in it for me? I had nothing to gain from it. What are you doing here? What do you think? Working. Doing what? Dishwasher. I, a chief accountant who worked for a reputable firm, am a dishwasher. What did they offer you? Me? At my own request. But that doesn't mean anything. If you go somewhere, they'll ask for references from your previous job. As a result, the only job available to you will be as a cleaner. Looking at the former chief accountant, Dolores began to realize the depth of her fall. Because of an empty, unnecessary connection, she had lost everything. Before she met Rojo, she had been respected at work, she had been treated with respect, she had a husband who loved her. And she loved him. But selfishness won out. She betrayed her husband on a whim, betrayed his love. And then she made it happen. She no longer remembered, but the first meeting with Rojo was exciting. There was a newness to their relationship. And then came the routine. Dolores had screwed up, and she understood that. She had hurt the man she loved because of her selfishness and thoughtlessness. All those meetings had been nothing more than a foolish temptation. And now she felt strongly that she had failed to stop. Rojo was led in handcuffs out of the office building. He was remanded into custody. He was charged with fraud, tax evasion, and false business. At the same time, Milagros called Victor to inform him that Dolores had expressed a request to meet him in person. Victor asked, Milagros, what's your advice? Victor, it's up to you, but a meeting might move the divorce process along faster. All right. I'll meet with her neutral territory. Make the arrangements. Tomorrow afternoon at my office. Is that okay with you? Yeah, that's fine. How is she, by the way? I think she's broken. And now she's going to take pity. How's Angelica doing? Things are good there. He's in custody. Okay, Angelica's apartment is vacated. Not quite. The true owner of the apartment has been found. The apartment was obtained by submitting false documents to a notary. These documents confirmed kinship with the deceased owner of the apartment. At the same time, the question arose as to the cause of death of the landlady, although eyewitnesses confirm that Rojo was in charge of the funeral. So, he killed her? I don't know that. There's such a thing as investigative secrecy. Where's Rojo going to go now? apparently to a village 60 kilometers away. That's where his real parents left an inheritance. How did you find out about that? Well, one of his fake firms was registered at that address. Dolores arrived at Milagros' law office without a lawyer. Victor arrived a few minutes early. The two sat across from each other. Milagros sat next to Victor. But after thinking about it, she decided, "You're not children, you have plenty to talk about without me." Milagros stood up and left them. With blurred eyes, Dolores began to speak. "Victor, I am truly sorry for what happened, and I apologize to you. I was going to end this affair, and I wanted to be the best wife in the world. My job in Rojo meant nothing to me, and it doesn't. So you had an affair, and now you're saying you love me. And now you're saying it doesn't mean anything to you. And your meaningless affair went on for 6 months. With sadness in her voice, she said, "I'm sorry, Victor. I'm sorry, and I do love you. Dolores, I don't believe a word you say, and right now I just don't care about you and your lies. Now listen to me, what's going on? You're about to be served with a subpoena. No, Victor, please don't divorce me. Rojo's wife filed divorce papers too, and we'll be hearing on the same day. And Rojo probably won't be in court because he's under felony arrest. Your sordid affair is over. Who knows? Victor, tell me, did you do it?" "Do what?" "Divorcing him from his wife and putting him in jail. He has a wife, and she loves him. She's supporting her sister and her little girl, and that sister has nothing to rely on. They're maternal sisters. They have different fathers. And if Angelica's father was able to lean on his daughter's shoulder, Samantha's father wasn't. Why are you going to ruin them? I wonder, why should I feel sorry for him? Dolores, you just don't understand. I don't interfere in their lives. You and Rojo ruined it. You could be proud of yourselves, because you had a hand in ruining the lives of 6 people. But I guess you don't care. I didn't know you could be so cruel. But I'll tell you, I don't care about Rojo. I just want you back. Please don't destroy our family. Look, our family is gone. Not for over 6 months now. Do you hate me that much? You're the one who showed your hatred for me with your betrayal, your lies, and your disrespect. You took my love for you and trampled it. You ripped love from my soul. Your only option is to accept the divorce. I have no property claim. I didn't touch a dime of your stash in your betting. I don't care anymore. Do whatever you want. I'm not going to be around." Dolores burst into tears at the top of her voice. She realized that there was no going back. It had to stop before, and Victor added, "I'll tell you something else. I quit my job last week. I hope I can find someone in the future who will love me. Find that woman who will respect me, treat me as an equal, who I can trust again, who I will love. Please don't look for me. If you really need me for something, you can send a message through my lawyer. I have nothing more to say. Goodbye." Victor stood up and left the office. Milagros walked in. She handed Dolores a clean handkerchief to wipe away her tears. Victor returned home. Samantha and Monica were sitting in the hall on the first floor. They were playing some elaborate game. When Samantha saw that Victor had returned from work, she jumped up and said, "I'll feed you now. Don't be in a hurry. I'm not really hungry. Angelica will be here soon. We'll have dinner together." "Right, Monica?" "Of course. And tomorrow Monica is going to kindergarten. I bought some clothes and shoes for the occasion, but I have to try them on. And sign all this stuff. Oh, Victor, she has everything. That's fine, but everything is for home, and this is for kindergarten. It should be a celebration. Why am I going to kindergarten? Look, I go to work. Angelica goes to work too. That's not true. Angelica doesn't go to work. She was with us all day. Then Uncle Diego came, and they left. They went to work for Milagros, and Diego has nothing to do with it. You work for him, and my mom doesn't work for us. She stays home with me all day, and she'll be bored if I'm at daycare. What's she gonna do at home if I'm not here? I'm going to work too. I'm going to work at Angelica's. Samantha, why would you do that? No, Victor, I have to work too, not sit on your back. It's embarrassing. I don't get alimony, and if I need to buy something, I ask my sister for money. Engrossed in the conversation, they did not notice that Diego and Angelica entered the house. Realizing what they were talking about, Diego announced, crate. I need to set up the accounting system in the economics department. No, Victor, what you are doing is right and timely, but you lack people, and we talked about it. So, you're going to hire Samantha as an economist. She's got an accounting degree. That's right, so you'll get her up to speed. We don't have a lot of money in there, and the changes you've suggested, I could make a nice profit. Now, set the table. What's the occasion? I just signed a lucrative contract with Angelica. The products her company produces will be sold through my network of gas stations and motels. Samantha and Angelica quickly set the table, and soon the whole company was sitting in the kitchen. During dinner, Diego said, "On Friday, I expect you all to come to my place." What's the occasion? I'll tell you on the spot. How did your meeting with your wife end? That's how it ended. She promised not to obstruct the divorce. It was Friday, and after work, Samantha and Victor stopped by the daycare center to pick up Monica. It had to be said that Monica liked the daycare center and went there with pleasure. Victor knew the reason for inviting their company to Diego's house. It was his birthday, and so, after consulting with Samantha, they took a cab from the kindergarten to the shopping center. There they decided to buy a gift. The mall had many boutiques offering various goods, and it was in this shopping center that Dolores got a job. The administration worked from 10 to 19 hours. She was in the office of the head of security when on the monitor she saw Victor entering the mall with a child in his arms, accompanied by a woman. She recognized Samantha, Angelica's sister. Victor smiled cheerfully and said something to the child, then set the girl on the floor, and she ran merrily forward. Behind her walked a smiling Samantha, taking Victor under her arm. Dolores decided to meet them and walked determinedly toward the sales floor. Monica stopped at a bright display case where jewelry was displayed. She nestled against the glass and exclaimed delightedly, "Look, what a beautiful ring. My mom never had such a ring." Victor looked at the showcase and replied, "Oh, so we'll fix that now." They walked into the boutique. Dolores stopped and, barely holding back tears, looked through the window glass to see what they were choosing. Victor and Dolores' divorce went smoothly. Dolores showed up at the courthouse, and Victor showed up there as well. Dolores noted that Victor was immaculately shaven as always, wearing a clean, ironed shirt. He said hello to Dolores, and she asked, "Are you doing okay?" "Yes, thanks for asking. I will say that going back to the way things were between us is impossible. Yeah, I'll never be able to forgive you. I'll never be able to trust you. Tell me what gave me away. How did you find out? I didn't want you to know everything. I knew it would hurt you, and I didn't want it to. It's quite simple. I got a letter of happiness." "A chain letter? I've never heard of such a letter. You mean someone wrote you a letter and told you about me?" "No, it was sent to me quite officially by the police, and the letter said that I had broken a traffic law. I started checking and found out that it was your lover who broke the rule when turning from the second lane into the motel parking lot. At the same time, according to the information I received from you, you were on a business trip that day. Since you were also on a business trip that day, I drove to the motel parking lot and saw my car there. Yeah, that was pretty stupid. I didn't want you to know that. And our last date was really our last date. Tell me, are you serious about Samantha?" "Samantha? What does Samantha have to do with it? You look very comfortable with her and her daughter. Have you seen us?" "Yeah, just once, by chance. I work at the mall now in administration, renting out retail space. So how's it going with Samantha?" "Samantha's a serious woman. And yes, we have a great relationship. How serious? Time will tell. The divorce has been finalized. The judgment of dissolution went into effect 1 month after it was entered. Appeal on the court decision, no one filed an appeal. The fate of Rojo and Angelica's marriage was also decided. 2 months later, Dolores learned that Victor proposed to Samantha, and she agreed. At the same time, Dolores began to be courted by the head of security at the mall. Upon learning that he was married, she flatly rejected his advances. Victor and Samantha visited the mall, usually with their daughter. One day, plucking up courage, Dolores approached them and said hello. They talked about nothing, and then Dolores saw for the first time how Samantha looked at Victor. They were the eyes of a loving woman. Eventually, Victor and Samantha were married. Another year later, Samantha gave birth to a baby boy, who was named Diego. Angelica took control of the activities of the established enterprise. She was helped a lot by Diego. 3 months after the wedding of Samantha and Victor, Diego made Angelica a proposal to merge the companies. Another month after the merger, he proposed to Angelica to become his wife, and she accepted. Rojo was sentenced to 6 years in prison. It was not proven that he had a hand in the death of the apartment owner. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you liked it, please like it and subscribe to the channel. See you soon.